Okay, boom, viewers, welcome back to the channel. Subscribers and already know the thing set. We're blessed. Hope I have no wonderful day today, but you know my style. One bag and one I gotta continue getting them daily updates on the people you see and don't see on the screen. That's why it's extremely important to watch to the end so you don't miss a thing. And with that being said, let's just kick it off with the Bounty Killer Shabba saga. You see what I said? Because the grown Godzilla has finally responded to the disrespect put out by, I don't want to say it, you see what I said, the U word, you see what I said. But nevertheless, surprisingly, he's accepting the disrespect. And this is what he had to say on his social media platform earlier today. He said, "My idol cannot be my rival." Big up Shabba Ranks despite whatever he might have said about his action speaks way louder than his words, because what he had done for me and many other youths by impacting and inspiring us musically immense. I know that the fans are a bit disappointed to a certain extent with certain things being said, but look at the positive side. I respect and rate Shabba all of my life, so there's nothing him or anybody can say or do to change that. Now, plus Miss Christie is like a mother to me. We all had our opinions, but I want to see if you, as Dexter Dab said, so ego and petty feelings can't mash it up. Shabba had to be proud of me because I'm a product of his inspiration as big as I can ever get. Shabba will always be a part of my journey. Can't insult my own inspiration. There's no bad blood here, at least from me. So big up, Mama Christie, Mama Ivy. I had nothing more to say about this situation. Stay positive, folks. And I mean, and he said, "Salute to the East." It's a said 1995 when him tag Shabba and Beanie and thing. Cause the clip in the beginning of the video was it. So put in the comment section where you think about Bounty Killer's approach. Obviously, he's grown a lot, you see me I say. But just a reminder, this is what Shabba had to say.
General.
No, not the general. The general.
The emperor. The emperor. The emperor. The emperor. The emperor. The emperor.
The only general is General Trace. Let I tell you. General Trace.
General Degree.
General Degree.
Yeah.
General Echo.
Yeah.
And Bonnie General.
Tio. All right, Shabba, so we're putting it out there.
Any other general a plan for funeral. Any other general a plan for funeral. Any other general a plan for funeral.
Yeah, put in the comment section where you think about that. No, the fans is saying, Shabba never bust nobody, blah, 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 blah. But I think Ninja Man might be the reason why Shabba always beat Bounty. You know what I mean? Given that, Ninja, and Bounty rate Ninja to the fullest too. Boy. Anyway, people, let's proceed to the next. Okay, people, the lawyer that was speaking to Mr. Vegas the other day about Ivany's situation is doing a follow-up on that video, because you don't know the thing said. A whole heap of people in the Ivany business, so naturally his DM was filled with messages pertaining, to the case. You see what I said? The people that want to know what going for not to go on extra. You see what I said? So we're going to hear from him now. So just like the video on our social media platforms, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter, so the people them can hear as well. And then let's get into it.
With Mr. Vegas, it went over pretty well with people in that they really enjoyed the information they got, hopefully. And so afterwards, I got a lot of replies from people who were just asking about just little details in there that I think apply to a lot of people, as well as to Ivany and some other individuals that he had mentioned. So I figure this is probably a good time to address all of those. So the first one that I wanted to address with everyone is that when you're filing for asylum, a lot of people have asked what sort of crimes would cause you to lose your case. Did he did it or not? Thanks for joining us today. I like your name. When filing for asylum, right? If there's been a serious crime that's been committed, you could end up losing your case. However, the degree of the crime isn't something that I want people to really be worried about. What I want everyone to focus on is the fact that you had any crimes at all. When you're in the U.S., a lot of things, including a green card, if it's through marriage. Amanda, thanks for joining us. We're just going over some frequently asked questions. Whether it's a green card through marriage, whether it's an asylum application, many applications require something called discretion. And that means that even if you meet all of the requirements to it, if in the judge's discretion, in the officer's discretion, many people who've flown into the country know that even in just the border officer's discretion, if there's just something he doesn't like about you, I always tell people, even if he doesn't like your face, that's enough, technically, for him to deny your case. And so if I see that you committed a crime that doesn't even fall under what we call a serious or particularly serious crime, that may be enough for them to just say, I'm going to deny your case. I've had a few cases like that. We've won on appeal anyway. But as I tell people, you just don't want to be in that sort of a situation where you're trying to argue to someone why your crime isn't serious enough to let you stay inside the United States. The next thing was when you're charged with a criminal offense, what happens exactly? And especially in her case, that was the question that had come up by a lot of people afterwards. When you're charged with a criminal offense initially, you're going to be placed in jail. There's a difference between jail and prison, but in reality, you're not going to notice much of the difference. But when you're going to be placed in jail, and so that's essentially your temporary holding that you'll be placed in. Hotness, thanks for joining us. We're going over a few questions that people had after the last interview that we did. So when you're going to be placed in jail, it's just going to be temporary. But ultimately, while you're in there, you're going to want to seek probation. You'll want to, maybe there'll be bail or whatever the offer that's been put on the table. For most people, it's going to be a bail. That's the first thing that they're going to see. When you're being given anything at all that would allow you to come out of jail, or if after you've been convicted and you're in prison and then you're looking at probation or anything else that would allow you to come out, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're looking at an immediate release. D, look good, kid. Thanks for joining us. That does not necessarily mean that you're looking at an immediate release. Instead, what can happen is that ICE may place something on you called a detainer. Rube Jugsy, thanks for joining us. What a detainer is that it's a note from ICE to the prison facility, to the jail, to whoever is holding you, and says to them, hey, we're going to come pick this guy up as soon as you let him go. So then once you're let out, whether it's on probation, whether it's on bail, or anything else like that, then ICE is allowed to come pick you up, and then you'll be detained again. And this time, often in a different facility. I've had a few clients where they were just detained in a different part of the same prison, which was very... Oh, sorry. Do you look good? Just told me you said she's Arlene. Thanks, Arlene, for joining us. My apologies. I didn't know what your tag was on Instagram. So that's the thing to be concerned about. For some of my clients, strategically speaking, just to delay ICE, they actually won't post bond, or they won't post bail, my apologies. Or some of them won't take their probation immediately because we have certain strategies that were going on that we don't want to trigger immigration just yet. And if we know that immigration has a detainer on them, we're just saying, all right, let's hold out for now. In other instances, you'll have an individual who, say, could come out on bail or who could be out on probation, but because of the detainer, the prison or the jail facility will hold them until immigration has a chance to come pick them up. In some states, like especially the sanctuary cities, what you'll find is that they'll be a little slow in telling immigration, and in which case some of our clients will tell them as soon as bail is there, get out of the front door and get into the taxi before immigration gets there. And then, then it's just up to immigration to finally track you down when this is all said and done. So that's at least just to answer that just simply because whether you're in state prison, federal prison, just because you've been let out on bail, just because you've been released for probation or something else like that, doesn't mean that immigration isn't just about to pick you up and put you in a different building right next door. The fourth big question that we had was, when would be the best time to contact an immigration lawyer? And so, Raygon, thanks for joining us. The best time, I would say, to contact an immigration attorney is as soon as you're charged. Us in immigration, we don't handle criminal charges. We're not in criminal court all the time. We're in there enough to know what's going on, but what you really are contacting us for is that we give you the information that you need to avoid any serious crimes being placed on your record. So your criminal attorney will often ask you sometimes if you have an immigration attorney. Other times, if you just tell them, they'll say, oh, great, give me his number. Because the Supreme Court has required that all criminal attorneys converse with immigration attorneys to make sure that any plea deal that they're going to take, any plea bargain that's on the table, or any potential even a conviction that you're looking at if you were to go to trial, that they're properly able to advise you that, hey, here are the immigration consequences to it. You could be missing out on citizenship. You could be missing out on a green card. Your asylum could be thrown away. Whatever the case may be, it's up to them to figure that out. What makes their job easier is if they can reach out to an immigration attorney. So if you already have one on speed dial, then it's a lot faster that we can get involved, and then we can just set it up so that the plea deal doesn't even trigger immigration in the first place, which is the main goal. The second best time to get an attorney would, as far as immigration attorney would be when you're facing the sentence, right? When you're looking at the bail, when you're looking at probation. Bail obviously isn't the sentence, but you know what I mean. When the charge has already gone through, they've already come to pick you up for it, or you've already been through most of your criminal hearings, the next best time would be right then, as the plea deal is coming down, is to contact us, because at least you can get us before immigration has either put a detainer on you or has actually come down to pick you up. If you're already in prison and the convictions are serious enough, immigration will put a detainer on you before you get out. Or if you're already in jail, they'll put a detainer on you before you can get out. However, for most people, they're going to be putting it on you while you're in court. They're going to be putting it on you after you get your conviction. So they don't want to put a detainer on you and place you in immigration detention if it turns out that your case is about to be dismissed and the whole thing was a complete mistake. Because immigration judges just don't look kindly to that. I've had that happen once or twice, and even some really strict judges have not only given my clients an instant bond, but in some cases have even dismissed the case because they were just saying ICE jumped the gun. They weren't being responsible. So that's another big question that came up. The fifth one that came up was when you are filing for asylum, how much time do you have to do so? What I would say is for everyone is you have 1 year to file for asylum. After 1 year, you're only going to get a lower form of asylum. That's not something that would really come up for a lot of people that are facing crime. Most people who have committed crimes have been here for a pretty long period of time, but there are exceptions to that. There are ways around it. I'll probably do a separate video on it, but that's just something that came up. And then two final things that came up as questions. Number 6 was when you commit a crime while on bond. Or why would it, for instance, be that after you get bond, that immigration would take you and bring you back into detention again? So when you commit a crime while you're out on bond, so that means immigration had you in detention, you paid a bond, and then they released you. If you commit a crime at that time, then they may revoke your release and bring you back in again. So they're allowed to, essentially, under the terms of your bond, you're stating that you're going to comply with the laws of the United States. You're going to be reporting in as often as you're supposed to. You're going to tell them when you're going to change your address, all of those things. And so as soon as you violate one of those, they're allowed to pull you. And if you violate one of those publicly, you're almost guaranteed that they're going to pull you. Because if they've watched you do it, live streaming it, if they've watched you do it on TV, if any politician has mentioned you doing it, ICE is going to yank you right out because, it's just a requirement to them. Every person who's out on bond, you may not know it, but you're assigned an ICE officer. It's what we call some of us call it a DO, other people outside, it's just going to be an ICE officer. You're assigned one. And once the ICE officer sees that you're doing something that's about to embarrass him, he's gonna take some action immediately afterwards. So you are out on bond. Many of you who are on orders of supervision, which is sort of like a form of probation in that you have to keep checking in. If you're on one of those, that's why they're doing it. Those officers are assigned to your case. They're checking your record. They're just making sure that you're not doing anything that's going to get them in trouble at the end of the day. And then the final question that I had was just about victims of crimes and what it means to press charges. And I believe what I explained on the stream before was that if you press charges, it's more of a construct than anything else, because it's really the prosecutor in the United States that actually does the work. And so what the police will do as a courtesy is that they will ask you, hey, this doesn't seem like a big deal. Do you think it's a big enough deal that you want me to arrest them and charge them and so on? And many times if a victim says, no, I'm all right, they'll let it go and it won't be a big deal that they're going to talk about. However, in reality, if the crime is serious enough, or if they've had multiple calls, or if they've been following your case and see that you've been misbehaving too many times, they may not even ask the victim. They may just ask out of courtesy, but in reality, they're going to do what they're going to do. And then once the police bring you in and bring charges against you, and then it gets handed to the prosecutor, then it's even out of the cops' hands. And that's happened a number of times. And one of my clients in New Jersey, he was a Jamaican man, and it was a very serious crime. But believe it or not, the cops were actually supporting him. And they couldn't stop the case from going through. The prosecutor was insisting that he was going to go through. The only thing the cops could do was just not show up to testify, which is what they did. And as a result, he was able to get through a lot of those crimes. But it was their form of protest telling the prosecutor they didn't like the case. That's the level at which people are not capable of stopping these things, right? Once the prosecutor's involved, that's kind of it. It's going to run away from you after that. So much that even the cops aren't able to stop it. But when that does happen, especially in a domestic violence case, the main reason for it is because they want to make sure that people who are the victims of domestic abuse, or who are just simply caught in any sort of a circle of crime, that they're not protecting their abuser, which has been a common problem, especially in the United States. So just understand that's sort of the situation that you're in. If you end up in a situation where you do need to call for protection, and you can support the person afterwards, especially if it was just a short incident, if it was just a one-off, you're allowed to come in and even testify on their behalf. But once the state gets involved, that's kind of it. The ball's going to be rolling from there. What I implore everyone to do is report anyway. If someone's abusing you, don't take that nonsense. Just report them. At the very least, there'll be some record of it. And then later on, if the relationship does get out of hand, at least you have some proof that something happened. So anyway, those were the 6 main questions that I've gotten since the last interview. I just wanted to do a quick video to tell everybody about it. My apologies again for not posting it or telling anyone that I was going to post the video, but these are just some points. I'll repost it later on so other people can see it. But if you had any other questions, any other concerns, please feel free to message me. Actually, Chase My World, I just saw also that you had sent me a DM, you just said. So I'll go look for it. I must have missed it. But everyone else's, for the most part, I had gotten to. And so I just wanted to highlight the big questions that everybody had. But anyway, thank you very much for coming out to listen to me talk about law for some reason. Again, I don't know why people want to listen to this, but I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Maisha, it's good to see you, by the way. And Chase, I'll look for it. If I don't see it, just message me on Instagram. Message me on Instagram. But if I still don't see it, message me on WhatsApp, and I'll get back to you after that, okay? For everyone, my office number is 212-233-2988. That's 212-233-2988. That's also the number on WhatsApp as well. I know a lot of people were calling after the show. If I didn't have time to get your call, you can just send a voice note. And when I have time, maybe when I'm trying to go to bed, I may be laying down in the middle of the night replying to some of them. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe I have a life. But probably I'm laying down replying to all of you. So feel free to send me a message, and I'll get back to it as soon as I can, all right? Anyway, all the rest of you, have a wonderful night, and great seeing each of you as well. Oh, good seeing you too, Tanvir. Thanks for joining me. All right, have a good night, everyone.
Yes, put in the comment section what you think about that. Like I said, people, it's best the judge sort out the child support for Ivany and the visitation rights for Hui. Yes, I said, because the two adults can't seem to agree. You know what I mean? And that's what family courts is for. Yes, I said, I'm not sure everything that Hui is doing is going to prove that she's an unfit mother, but You don't know the things said. They're using her immigration status against them. You see it. Good thing she have representation. Don't forget to comment on this bounty killer situation with Shabba Ranks. And like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I drop the latest. Bless.